Hi everyone, welcome to my 1940s pin-up vintage inspired tutorial. I hope you all enjoy it. My name's Lauren O'Donnell. I'm a makeup artist currently living in London, and I wanted to be a part of the Stand Together Glam Together page because there isn't one person in this country who's not used the NHS or been affected by COVID in some way, and this was just a little way that I thought that I could help. So please utilise the page, enjoy it, have fun, learn something new, but please also donate and make sure that we have created all this content not for nothing, but to raise money for the people who need it. Hi, so I've prepped my skin, moisturiser, eye cream, SPF because the weather's really nice outside, and we're going to begin. So we really want to make sure that the skin looks radiant, flawless, still natural. So I'm going to start with the Too Faced Hangover Primer and just pop that mainly on the T-zones. And now I'm going to go in with the Charlotte Tilbury Flawless Filter. This one is number 2 because I'm not very dark skinned. And this stuff is great if you don't really like a full cover. And there we go. So, colour correction first. I find that I get really blue underneath my eye area. So, as you can see, it's well loved. This is my own one from my own kit. This is Illamasqua's Cream Pigment in Emerge. And that orangey peach tone just helps to cancel out that blue purple. Looks a little bit scary at first because it is like really orange, but it's not once it's on, and it just brightens. Because sometimes I find, or I used to find, if I just put under eye concealer straight under my eyes, it just made that bluey purple part just look a bit grey. So this adds warmth so that when you do go to concealer, add more cover, it just cancels out that bluiness like that. So foundation, I'm going to use the Urban Decay Naked Skin and give it a little shake. I'm going to mix something in with it because I want to look like I have a Hollywood filter all day long. So I'm actually going to mix up Revolution liquid highlighter, not a lot. It's a sort of rose champagne colour, but see, just like one big drop, and mix it in with my foundation like that. And now I'm going to use an Illamasqua buffing brush to buff on the foundation because I like my foundation to look natural and sort of airbrushed, and I find that by using a brush like this you get a little bit more control. I find that you use way less foundation and you can build up the areas where you want more rather than kind of feeling like you're wearing a lot. I've still got loads left on there, and that was just like one big pump that I used, so you don't need a lot of foundation. But what we are going to do to add and build a little bit more coverage is using concealers. I'm going to use 2. This one is the Maybelline Anti-Age Instant Anti-Age Eraser. The colour is Warm Light. Yeah, 115 Warm Light. And this is from my personal kit. And I just like how easy it is. Popping that on where I want to sort of brighten. And just using the same brushes that I use for foundation. Buff that in. And closer to my eye, I'm going to go in. Okay, so now we're going to eyes. I'm going to use Pro Longwear MAC paint pot. This one is called Painterly. I'm just using my finger and popping a little bit. Not a lot, but just a touch. Now you could use a concealer if you prefer to use a concealer as an eyeshadow base, or this product comes in lots of different colours. I use Painterly because I feel like it's a good neutral tone for me and my skin tone, but I know it comes in lots of different colours and tones that would probably match darker tones and darker skin tones better. But basically it's a good all-rounder product. You can wear under any eye makeup. I just find it helps to stop my eyeshadow creasing, evens out my eyelids, because mine are quite sort of veiny. So yeah, I use it under all my eye makeups and I use it on all clients, but I do have it in different colours for different people. Okay, so we're going to go into eyes. So I'm going to use the Anastasia Modern Renaissance palette just for this sort of like Hollywood Glam look. I like the neutrals that are in it. And I'm also going to use one of my all-time favourite eyeshadows, which is Vernow. It's sort of like a toffee colour from Illamasqua. I pretty much use it all the time. It's a great eyeshadow to use for smoky eyes, to help sort of blend. It's just a fab eyeshadow to have. What you will need for this look is a fluffy brush and a flat brush. So when I was at college we called this a cat's tongue brush, and then a fluffy brush just to blend out. So this one is from Zoeva and this one is a Kryolan brush. So firstly, you want your eyes to kind of give that off that sort of Bambi look. So it's the flick liner, the red lips, glam, the most glamorous look ever, classic. So I'm going to start with the lightest shade to use. So I'm going to use this one. It is Tempera on the Modern Renaissance palette. So I'm going in with my flat brush and I'm just going to pat it into the inside part of my eye, up to sort of halfway really. And what you'll see I'm doing is, rather than taking it to where my eye creases, I'm actually taking it slightly further up to where that socket bone is. And you'll start to feel it when you're popping the eyeshadow on. And I'm just gonna blend that a little bit. And it instantly lifts the eye, make it look a little bit bigger, and makes you look more awake. So yeah, I'm gonna do the other eye the same. Then I'll use my fluffy brush. So I'm going to stick with that rule throughout all of this, is rather than going for where my eye creases, I'm going to be going slightly up to where my brow bone is. And that's how we're going to get that nice shape in our eyeshadow before I put a liquid liner on. So I'm going in now with the Warm Taupe colour. And what I'm going to do is start on the outside and going right into that brow bone and just making a little bit more of a thing with the crease of my eye. Just really exaggerating it. It's going to give that sort of like Marilyn Monroe sort of vibe to the look, because we want this to be vintage inspired but not look like out of date and old-fashioned, which, to be fair, I don't think this look could ever look old-fashioned because it's so classic. It will forever be a good look. So the Warm Taupe, and you can see that I've created the crease, and now I'm just sort of patting it up just to help blend it slightly. So I use my fluffy brush just on the edge of it, so not in where we've put the colour, but just slightly above, to help blend that out. Yeah, so you can see already it just gives your eye definition without being too over the top. It's great for an everyday look as well. You wouldn't necessarily have to do the whole look, but just take this idea for the rest of your makeup. So again, doing the same thing on the other eye to exaggerate the crease, and then just above where we're putting the eyeshadow, just blend out any harsh line. Now I'm going to go in with the Illamasqua Vernow shadow, and I'm just going to pat that on top. Okay, so now that we have a little bit more of a defined crease to the eye, we're going to go in with a bit of a liner. Now the easiest way I find to create a liquid liner is to start with a pencil. So this is an Inglot pencil, and it's great because it's got a smudger at the end. So I've just sharpened it, And what I'm going to do is, for a flick, what I find that is the most flattering on most faces is to look in a mirror straight and follow the line of your bottom lash line, if you can see that. Now I've just taken it to where that dark eyeshadow is. I find it, then that way I know where to finish the other one. So I've just drawn a line guided from my bottom lash line, and same with the other eye to where that dark eyeshadow starts. And now it means that when you go to use your black liner, you've got some sort of guide, so you're not just blindly popping black around your eyes. So now I'm going to go in with a liner. Now you can use liquid, you can use pencil, you can use anything that you feel most comfortable with. I'm going to use gel. My absolute favourite gel black liner is the Illamasqua one. Now, I did used to work for the brand years ago, so maybe I am slightly biased, but I think regardless if I worked for them, I just find that it's a really nice texture, it's really creamy, it's great as a base for a smoky eye as well. I also like the fact that it's a British brand and it's cruelty free, so it can't really go wrong. I'm going to use, this is actually a Chanel brush and it's called a small angled eyeshadow, and I'm not 100% sure if they still do it, but it's much better I find for liner because it's quite thin and stiff, and having that angle there, you can use that to your advantage. So rather than being really fine line with the liner, you can actually go in and sort of pat on the shape and then go in, if that makes sense. So what I'm going to do is start at the centre of the eye and just using a little dash, laying the brush right on my lash line to keep it as close to the lashes as you can. And because of the shape of this, I'm able to really like pack it into my lash line. And you want it to kind of get thicker to create that lovely flick. So what I'm going to do is, rather than follow my eye in the curve down, I'm actually just going to go straight out. So where I've put that little brown flick line, I'm going to take the liner and do a straight line from my eye to that liner. The best way to do this in the mirror is by looking down slightly so that it opens up that eye area, and then it's just a case of filling it in. But once you've kind of got the shape that you like at this side, this is when you can take it in. I like, with my eye shape, I find that I like it really quite thin in the inside, but if you've got a bigger lid area, all my space is up here, if you've got a bigger lid area, you might want to go quite thick all the way along. So I tend to go nice and thin, pressing right in my lash line, and then join up to where we started. We're not finished there though. We're going to do the other eye. So again, starting in the centre, resting the brush on your lashes so that it sits right on your lash line. And then as your eye starts to curve down the way, take it in a straight line out to where you've got that flick. Now if you make a mistake, don't panic for a start. I don't know anyone who's done this and got it perfect the very first time they've ever tried it. So if you're a beginner, please don't be too hard on yourself. We're all in this together. Straighten out that flick. Make sure it is even as they can. Now I'm going to go back in with my wee flat brush. I'm going to use the most well-loved eyeshadow in this palette, Cypress Umber. It's like a really dark chocolate brown. A tiny little bit right on the edge of my brush. I'm going to start and just pat the colour right in at the corner on top of where that crease is, just to add a little bit more definition and depth to that outer line. It kind of manipulates the light to sort of look like the eyes being drawn up the way, and then any harsh lines you just use your fluffy brush. I'm not putting any eyeshadow in this, by the way, it's just whatever's on it from the rest of the makeup. But as you can see, it just sort of pinces that eye up there to kind of give it a real lifted look. Okay, so now finishing off the eyes, some lashes. So I'm going to start with my eyelash curlers, my trusty eyelash curlers, and just go in and do like little pulses. There we go. And then mascara. I'm using the Max Factor Voluptuous False Lash Effect Mascara. So just pop it on top and bottom. There we go. Now false lashes. So I feel like false lashes were one of those best kept secrets during Hollywood in the 1940s and 50s, during those like amazing sort of MGM days. But we all know that they used them. So I'm going to use Tatty Lash. Tatty Lash using TL4. I've already pre-cut them to fit my eyes. Now they are quite long, but they're really fluffy. So I really feel like they give that like doe-eyed look. Plus, who doesn't like a big lash? If you're going to do a glam look, go all out. So I've already pre-cut these to fit the shape of my eye. And I'm just going to go in with a little bit of duo glue. There we go. Good thing about this glue is it's great with sensitive eyes. And the white colour of the glue sets clear. So don't worry about that. Just popping the glue on there. Okay, so I've left the glue for about 20-30 seconds just so that it's not wet, it's a bit more tacky. And what to do is give them a little bend just so that they'll fit onto the curve of your eye more easily. So I'm going to start at the outside. Just like that. How gorgeous and fluffy are those? I love them. Yeah, and now round two. Okay, I think they're on. I hope they're on. Just going to let them settle a little bit. Whilst they do, I'm going to add some powder because I haven't applied powder up till now. Reason being, I'm not 21, so my face moves. Especially when I'm smiling. If I put on too much base makeup, it starts to sit in creases. So what I tend to do is put all of my liquid on first, and then as I go on through the makeup, at the end I can apply some powder and set it where I want it to sit. And if it's moved into any creases, then I can buff that out. That's a kind of trick I've learned and I quite like it. I'm just going to blend that out. And then I'm going to use Urban Decay's De-Slick Mattifying Powder. Now you could, if you prefer like a fuller cover, use something that's more like a powder foundation or has a lot more colour to it. This is white, so it's translucent. In my kit I use a loose powder, but for me personally it's just much easier to carry that about. So I'm just going to put it on the centre of the face and where I tend to get shiny, especially during this lovely weather that we're having down here. You can see I'm not sweeping it, I'm pressing it in so that it's setting the makeup rather than moving it. Also going to put a touch on my lips just to get them ready for our nice bold red. So I'm going to go in with my Revolution Iconic Lights and Contour palette, just to add a bit more depth. So mixing these two darker ones and kind of just giving myself a bit of a lift and sculpting of the face. So now I think my lashes are as on as they're ever going to be. And now I'm just going to add a little touch more mascara. So let's start this lip. So I've added a touch of powder to the lips. And now I'm going to use the Sleek Makeup lip liner in Locked Up, which is like a classic red. So what I do is I tend to create the shape of my Cupid's bow first, just to make sure that it's nice and even. Okay, now start at the top What I also do is I line my lips right at the very edge, almost overlining them, just because that full pout is something that I like. Now filled in like that, I'm going to actually colour in the whole lip. This is a great tip if you find your lipstick just fades really quickly. By filling in the whole lip, it's got a waxier texture, your pencil, so it'll last longer than just a normal lipstick. It also means that you can see where you've got an even shape. So here, I can see I've done it slightly thinner and this side's a bit rounder, so I'm going to start to round off this shape a little bit to make it more even. And then fill it in. So I'm just going to fill it in with my lipstick because you've done all the hard work, and that's much easier for you to kind of get that solid lovely shape than what you would with a lipstick. I'm going in with one of my favourites. This is the Chanel Rouge Allure Velvet. It's number 337 in La Flamboyant, and as you can see, it's well loved. I just love the shade. So making sure you're going right to the edge. You have your classic red lip. But now I feel like it's kind of taking the colour a little bit away from the apples of my cheeks, and I want to lift that. So I'm going to go in with Kiko Milano's Baked Blush. I love them. And I have two different colours here. So you can either go more on the warm side if you're feeling a bit more tanned, or if you're slightly paler, go for the more pinky side, like that. I feel as though I've got a touch more colour here, so I'm going to go for the warm one because it's summer. So what I'm going to do is use the apple of the cheeks as my guide and blend that right into where my bronzer and my contour are. And there we go. So, just going to finish off with some accessories. And it's your vintage pin-up look.